Hey, this is Jeff again with the Evolve Interest Rate Guide Service.com, REIGUIDESERVIC.com. I want to do a real quick video, and I wanted to talk about what to have / know before doing that first real estate investment. Real estate investment, fancy. So the do's and the don'ts. I wanted to include both because some of these things might seem similar, but they in fact are not similar. So the do's, let's start with that. Do take a mastery class. So what I mean by that is there's lots of ways that you can figure out exactly how to do things that you need to do. There isn't really a way that you can do like an all-in-one, all-encompassing thing. A mastery class, though, is if you want to learn about SEO, then you go to a SEO mastery class. Something where you're there to get very specific information about the specific things that you want to do and what you want to accomplish while doing those things. Okay, so that's a mastery class. Very specific, very tactical, lots of knowledge, something definitely worth paying for. Education is worth paying for. Don't pay to join a club or a mentorship program. Now, there are some exceptions to this rule, of course, but for the majority of situations, I would say don't pay to join a club or for a mentorship. A lot of this stuff is just regurgitated stuff that they have found and are putting together in a way that they think is going to be helpful, they think is going to be performative, they think is going to do whatever, right? If someone uses these tools the right way, then they'll be able to accomplish it. But the reality is most of these people that are mentors haven't really done a whole lot of real estate deals themselves. They haven't mastered the things that they are mentoring on. And you'd be much better going to someone who's a master and learning the individual things that master learns. If this mentor flips a lot of properties and they're not finding the deals on their own and you're wanting to go to them to figure out how to find deals, you should find the master of finding deals instead of trying to find an all-in-one mentor. Because if all this mentor is going to do is tell you, hey, I hire a bunch of different people, is that really worth something paying for? So the next one is pick a close area. So the closer you are to the property, to the investment, to the thing that you're going to be working on, the more likely you are to go drive by, check on it, see how things are doing, that kind of stuff. And so the closer you are to the area, the more beneficial, the more involved, the more eyes on the project. And especially if you're just getting started, when you are doing your first deal, you want to spend as much time as possible at that property. You might seem annoying to other people, you know, that are trying to do their work or whatnot. But as long as you're not inhibiting the workflow of the people that you've hired to do the work, then there's nothing wrong with you being out there. You know, there's lots of things as a property owner that you can do. If you want to go out there every day and do like an hour's worth of landscaping, walk around, or you just want to go out there and spend 15 minutes kind of seeing where everybody is and what everything's going on, that's not a bad idea. Because if you see something that sparks your interest and goes, well, wait a minute, I'm not sure if this is done right, you can go home, watch YouTube videos on it, and come back the next day and, you know, clarify some things that you have questions on still. And that makes it real difficult if you have to drive 2+ hours, which is my kind of the cutoff of what I say, 2+ hours. You don't want to spend more than 2 hours each way in a car driving to go look at a property, because that's 4 hours. And the likelihood of you doing that multiple times a week, not feeling good, that's not beneficial, especially on your first deal. So you want to reduce the amount of stress as possible, especially if you're not real seasoned. So driving more than 2 hours each direction for a project, that's not going to help you feel seasoned. So the next thing is going to be form a relationship with a realtor. I'm not saying cold call and, you know, just get on the phone with a realtor that you can get a hold of. What I'm actually speaking of specifically is form an actual relationship. Get them on the phone, maybe go out to lunch with them. A really good place is finding realtors that are active and productive is going to open houses. Realtors, you know, do open houses on a regular basis. So going to one of those open houses, going to events, meeting people and forming relationships where you can really have communication, contact. You can have that good vibes that you don't have to worry about if they're being honest with you, because you have that relationship with them. So forming a real relationship with a realtor, pretty important, because they're going to help you find that property, they're going to help you sell that property or lease that property, whatever it is that you're going to do. A realtor is real vital, because a really good realtor is like a really good contractor, or you know, a really good appraiser, or a really good inspector, or someone that really understands the role that we're all playing in order to accomplish goals. Okay, so finding a really good realtor is important. Those are difficult, but they are out there en masse. Okay. Don't is cold call realtors and sell them on you, that you are an investor and that you're doing all of these things and that you're going to be super accomplished and you're going to take them along for the ride. And don't do that. They get that a lot. It happens exponentially more than you could ever imagine. So don't just cold call realtors and basically expect them to do what you want. You know, it's not like a pizza place. You're not calling and ordering up a pizza and they're not going to deliver it in a time frame that you find reasonable, because that's not how this business works. So don't do that. Make knowledgeable and explainable offers. So when you're making an offer on a property, you want to make sure that you're not just making an offer that's like, okay, well, you know, this is an offer because this is how I feel. You need to have the actual numbers written down so that you can not only have the information there, but you can explain it in an intelligible way that says, hey, listen, this is why I can't give you what you feel is the value. This is what the value I feel is. And you're not trying to change their mind. You're not trying to convince them. Instead, you need to look at, you're providing them with all of the information. Some people are fact-based, some people are emotional-based. And when you present all of these fact-based numbers and information to an individual, if they are not a fact-based person, if they are an emotional person, those facts aren't going to matter. And so then you can make an assessment and evaluate what you want to do from that point, if you are going to address those emotional needs and whatnot. But having knowledge and of the information of what it is that made you come up with the numbers that you came up with to give you the offer that you're making, and being able to clearly and concisely explain it is really important, because I just think that that's what it's worth, or the market's going down. Just those little simple, you know, cliche things that people use aren't going to do it. It's like a used car salesman saying, what can I do to get you to take this car home today? People see it coming, they don't like it. So if you know why you're making that offer and you can explain it clearly, you'll be well better off. Making an offer to renegotiate the deal later. Don't do this. This is a thing that people will do. They'll try to lock down a house and say, okay, we'll give them that offer, and then we'll go through, and when we get, you know, the inspections back and all that, then we'll renegotiate based on some of these things that I already know are going to be an issue. Don't do that. You're setting yourself up for failure. You want to negotiate deals with the knowledge and knowing why it is that you're making that offer, and you want to make a fair and honest offer. I make all my offers based on the number 65% of ARV minus repairs. That's total value is $100,000. My offer is $65,000. Oh, it needs $10,000 worth of repairs, so my offer is now $55,000. That's just a mathematical equation, and there is a gray area of what the after repair value is. That's really what people are willing to pay for it at that time that I have it for sale. Doesn't matter what, you know, it could have sold for 6 months ago or what it might sell for 6 months from now. It's what the value is, what it's going to sell for right this second, and considering the value of things change, you really got to, you know, make sure that you're real careful. But making an offer to then have every intention of just coming back and renegotiating, that's just bad business practice. Not something that I would suggest. Now, of course, if you make an honest offer and then you get your inspection, or you have a consultant come out there and you're made aware of some things that you weren't aware of before, that's perfectly acceptable. That's the point of having an inspection and consultation and analysis, and being able to have that leeway there. So that's reasonable. Listen to the experts. And what I mean by that is, you know, if you have several plumbers come out and they're giving you advice on what you need to do to solve a plumbing situation, then you should definitely hear them out on that advice, right? Like, there's no point in having these experts come out and kind of keep notes of what it is that they're telling you, because there's different solutions for the same problem, right? And you just need to figure out which one is the most reasonable, and also making sure that you're working with experts. That's another thing. If, you know, just because you're working with a plumber and this plumber's had 20 years of experience, if all they've had is experience in residential plumbing and they've never done any commercial plumbing, then commercial plumbing is a completely different beast. Multifamily, completely different beast. So make sure that the expert that you're working with and that you're listening to is truly an expert in the specific thing, the master of that specific thing that you're actually wanting to know about. Because being a real estate expert can mean a ton of different stuff. What part of real estate am I an expert in? So make sure that you're clear and listening to the experts, and don't assume titles equal knowledge. That's a real hard one for a lot of people. People think, okay, well, I'm going to call up a lawyer and ask a lawyer if I can do this. Well, if the lawyer hasn't had a lot of experience in real estate and you're asking them a real estate related question, there's a very good chance that you're not going to get the best answer. I would always suggest making sure that you're doing the due diligence that you need to do, that the title, like I said over here, listening to the experts, making sure that title doesn't give you confidence that they are an expert in something that they might not even be an expert in. You just assume because they're a lawyer that they know everything about real estate law, when in reality they might not know anything about real estate law. Okay. So then we're on to our last one, and that's line up your finances. Don't just get a pre-approval, because that's kind of or pre-qual. Really know how you're going to finance things, where you're getting your money from, and if you have no money whatsoever, you have no finances whatsoever, you have nothing, well, then you need to know that. And you need to say, okay, well, if I'm going to do this deal, I'm going to make an offer, then my offer needs to be based on what it is that I can do. So if I do sign a contract, I can only do an earnest money contract. Earnest money, I only have $50, so I can only put down $50 earnest money. Take that to the title company. Well, now you have an earnest money contract, and if that earnest money contract is 65% of ARV minus repairs, there's a lot of people that are going to be willing to buy that earnest money contract from you. So you could wholesale it. You could partner with someone. If it's a real deal, you might be able to do a hard money loan or a private money loan where you're not checking credit. Oh, just had a light go out. Not checking credit, not checking any of that kind of stuff. And still be able to do it. You just got to line out how you're going to do it. And I suggest trying to give yourself a couple of different options. Putting all your eggs in one basket is never a good idea. Take on deals on your own. Okay, so don't take on deals that you just really have to make a lot of excuses for. Like, well, this isn't really the best case scenario, or I'll fix this, or as long as my cousin comes over and paints this, then we can really make some money on it. We're going to do all the handyman stuff on the side. Because like I've said before in other videos, if you're going to have to do a ton of the work yourself in order for that deal to be profitable, then it's not really profitable as an investor. And you now are basically acting as a contractor or a trade, but you're also taking on all of the risk without any of the reward. You'd be much better off working as a trade or a contractor or a handyman for an investor who's the one taking on all the risk, making all the lists, doing all the things that needs to be done to be the investor. Allow them to make their investor money. You can make your money as a contractor trade. And then everybody gets paid, everybody's happy. But to do deals only based on your ability to fix it yourself or have special deals, when those special deals fall through, you're screwed. Anyway, this is going to be part one. I'm sure there's going to be additional parts. I'm a consultant in real estate and construction. I can advise you, give you any tips, tricks you want. I have some virtual services. I have some phone services. I have some in real life, in-person services. If you have any questions for me, feel free to reach out via email, via my website, www. I don't edit these. www.reguideservice.com, REIGUIDESERVIC.com. Feel free to check out, peruse my Facebook, my Instagram, my TikTok, my YouTubes, all that stuff. I'm on all of them. Be blessed, bless others. ReGuideService.com, REIGUIDESERVIC.